everyone. Today we got to play Warsaw, City of Ruins. Now, this is a tile placement game that we've been trying to get to the table quite a little bit.
Another one of those cases where we got a damaged copy and we had to wait until we could get a replacement, and then it got kind of pushed on the back burner for many years.
No, but anyway, so we did get to play this go around. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because board games are awesome, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit about Warsaw?
Sure. This is a 2016 release. It has a Board Game Geek rating of 7.3 and a Board Game Geek rank of 1242. It is 2 to 4 players, and average length of game is 45 to 60 minutes. Age 10 and up, which is probably about right. Designed by Filip Miluński. Art is by Titus Brzozowski and Grzegorz Mulas. Published by Granna, and it's got an MSRP of $50, but it's out of print. So I found it on eBay for $49.19, and the Geek Market has a like-new version, whatever that means, for $34.
All right, so now let's talk about quality of components. You got cardboard money. You have cardboard tiles.
They do have a linen finish on them, though.
They do have a linen finish. You have a player board. Now,
that's not a player board, it's a scoreboard.
Well, scoreboard. I will say that the actual score markers are actually kind of cool. So that's a little bit different, honestly. It's like a mermaid.
Yeah, apparently mermaids and mermen are extremely important to the Warsaw Polish culture. So
that's actually kind of cool. So that's the only cool thing. So I'm going to give this a 5.5 because
I wouldn't say it's the only cool thing. I think some of the tiles, especially the special tiles in the game.
Well, that's more theme.
Well, I agree thematically it is, but the tiles, the linen finish on the tiles is really nice too.
Okay, so what would you give it then?
I'll probably go ahead and give it a 6.5. I think it's there's not a lot to the game. It's basically tiles. I don't like cardboard money, but a lot of games have it. I'd rather have that than paper money, but you
do what you can, you do what you can. All right, so let's talk about the theme then. So the theme obviously is that you're in Warsaw and you are trying to build your town. And over the course of time, buildings get destroyed or overtaken and rebuilt.
Well,
so
I think it follows the history of Warsaw through the decades, through World War I and World War II specifically, because obviously Poland was impacted dramatically by those two wars. And the fact that they just continuously rebuilt it. It's clearly made by someone who has a love for the city of Warsaw, and it shows in the design and in the tile, the special tiles in the game.
Yeah. So I will say that the artwork is it's okay. It's nothing special. But however, I will say like the specialty tiles, they do have actual buildings on there. And that does really develop theme quite a bit because you're seeing the buildings actually in that are in Warsaw to kind of go with that. And then the other piece of it is like a city building kind of thing. And going through the different time periods, I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. So overall, though, for theme, what are you thinking for score-wise?
I mean, I like the art in this. I like the color choices they made for the tiles. It shows the love they have for the city strongly in the game. It's another one kind of like that Praga where they just really love their city, and I like the fact that they put that history in here, and it's carried through in the rule book, explaining all the tiles and not just what they function, but the history of each tile is in the book, and that was really cool. So if you're a history buff, if you're interested in that, this is a really interesting game. I'm going to give it an 8, I think. It's more about the history and the art on the specialty tiles in the game that I think that brings it out.
I'm not going to go that high. I'm probably going to give it a 7. I do think there's obviously some luck to this game. I think the art's okay. But it is a city tile building game, and that's pretty universal. All right, so now let's talk about Rulebook. Now, you read the rules.
Yes. So the Rulebook.
How'd that go?
That's another one. Doesn't have page numbers. There's no cover. It goes straight into the
well, I was just trying to
the introduction of the game and It goes through the contents. It does have pictures of it, which is nice. It's 16-page rulebook, and the rulebook goes through basically how the tile placement works, how the areas work, the different divisions of the areas, and what makes one area versus multiple areas, which is common for any tile laying game, basically. And showing how, correct and incorrect ways to place them, and then the scoring, which is the big thing. And it's really only 4 pages of actual.
And then the rest of it is just going over the specialty tiles.
All of the specialty tiles and the history of them. I mean, it's a lot of effort put into the specialty tiles.
Okay, so overall, giving it a score, what would you rate the...
I think the rulebook does an excellent job of communicating it, and again, carrying the theme through. I'm going to go ahead and give this an 8. I think it's a great rulebook for this game. Okay,
all right, so now let's talk about the actual gameplay. All right, so at the beginning of the game, you have your starter tile, which is half green, half red. That will go up here, plus it has an S on the back in case you're wondering. All right, then I've got 4 tiles to choose from. So now it will be a drafting component. So I get a couple of choices. So in my particular hand, I have a couple of purple, right, which are straight up victory points. So that's kind of nice. I can expand my green area here. Now, a couple of things with the green area is that for every adjacent red area that is touching, I will get a victory point in the game. So by expanding my largest green area, I can have hopefully more red buildings touching and therefore gaining more VP at the end of the game or during the scoring round. And then I have the red building. Now, the red buildings trigger a couple of different things. Like I said, if it's next to a green, then I get a victory point. But if it is next to a yellow, I actually get an income from it. So for every yellow that a red touches, it will give you an income. Or actually, every red that a yellow touches, it will give you an income. All right. And then the other thing is for blue, then you get actually negative victory points if a red building is next to a blue. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Now, I have these 3, but there's a couple other. I have mentioned gold, like here on this tile. Now, like I said before, gold is every time it's next to a red, gets you a coin for during the income phase. And then the blue typically are straight up income, okay? So that's really, really nice. The other thing that is on different tiles, depending on the tile, is, in fact, the bus route. Now, the bus route will give you victory points based on the different locations that you have.
But you have to have at least 2, and they have to be separated. They can't be adjacent to one another.
Correct. All right, so I'm going to decide that I'm going to end up paying for a purple. So I'm going to put that down here where I want it to be.
And I got a purple and a yellow half and half, and I'm going to have to pay a premium for it because it's super expensive. Starting out the game with more money.
Okay, so then we're going to...
And then we're both going to reveal and place them into our territory. And I want to place my yellow touching the red, because purple doesn't matter what it touches. But the key is when you're placing, you cannot play more than a 4x3 or 3x4 grid. It has to be within that rectangle. Now, I did have, during the course of the game we played, a specialty tile that gave me the ability to do 4x4, but that didn't come until later in the game. But in general, you can only have a 3x4 grid.
Correct. All right, so then I'm going to then draft a yellow, which costs me that.
And then I'm taking this one that costs 2, that's a big red one, to put next to my yellow and keeping them separated to make sure I have 2 regions.
Okay. Now, so here's the problem, okay? I really don't want this green tile here, nor can I afford this purple tile. So I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want Randy to have the opportunity to get this purple tile, so I'm just going to sell this purple tile back to the bank, and I'm going to take 3 money.
And I'm broke, so I have to do that.
Okay, all right, so then we're going to pass that last thing, and then, oh, look, okay, so I'm going to expand my green area, or I could sell this again, okay, and that ends the round, and then therefore you trigger the end of round scoring. All right, so end of round scoring. One of the first things is that there's going to be tiles laid up here. One example is whoever has the most orange buildings, okay? So whoever has the most orange buildings, they will get this tile. If there is a tie, then you will base it on the person with the least amount of money or the least amount of victory points.
And that criteria changes throughout the game,
correct.
So it's different for each tile.
Well, and it's different each game because there's an A and B side, so that will flip, so you won't necessarily know what's coming up. And then the other thing is that then you're going to go and actually go to the beautiful cheat sheet. They have to trigger all that end of round scoring. Now, keep in mind that on the back here, there is this chart about residential areas adjacent to the park and the victory points associated. So it's not directly 1-for-1. So just kind of paying attention to that. That one's a little bit different. But everything else, so once you do that, the largest green residence, attaching the residence to it, then you're going to go look at your purples, get straight up victory points for that. Then you're going to your orange and counting income. So I have 1 orange and 1 yellow and 1 red. So I'll get 1 coin. Okay.
And I've got 2 red touching the yellow. I would get 2 coins for
correct. Lift you so much richer. All right. And then you're going to do any blue that if you have blue, and those are typically, like I said, just straight up income. And it's the income in the gray little circle here.
You would lose the victory point if for each one of the reds touches.
Yeah. So if it's touching a red, you get negative victory points. And then you also do the bus stations. But again, we didn't have any in this round. And then any additional X's from specialty buildings. So there are a lot of specialty buildings that will end up giving you victory point based on certain conditions, and you do those.
And some will give you money as well.
Correct. All right, then you go to the second round. Again, you get 4 tiles, and you draft, and you keep going until all those rounds are played. Now, a little caveat to round
3 and 4.
They are World War I and World War II. So at the beginning of World War I, you're going to end up losing 1, or at the end of...
Yeah, it's during the first part of the scoring phase for rounds 3 and 4.
Right. And you were going to end up losing a building. And then on round 4, you're going to end up losing 2 buildings. But then, like I said, you're going to continue and going forward. Now, one thing that we did not mention is that you can stack. So eventually I'm going to get a 4x3 play area. And you know what? This purple was only worth 1 victory point. I've got this tile here that, you know what, it has a purple with 2, and it also has some blue and a red, and like, this is really great. So I can overbuild. So I can say, all right, so the cost on here is 3, this is a 7, so I only have to pay 4 money to overbuild at that location. So you can continue to do that, so you can have multiple levels, and sometimes maybe even getting a tile for free if they're the same cost. So just kind of keeping that in mind.
Now, if you have multiple levels during World War I or World War II, you lose that whole column of tiles. You don't just take the top one off and lose it. You lose the whole stack. So there will be a hole. Now, when you do that, you cannot make the hole such that it causes an island of a tile. They all have to still connect. So when you're playing your tiles, you have to be cognizant when you're removing, if you have to remove something. Because I had a situation where I paid for a tile, then I had to destroy something, and the one that I was going to want to destroy would have caused an island. So I ended up having to lose the tile I just paid for and wasted some of my money during the game. So it was kind of a sad day.
Where I got the arsenal and didn't have to lose one during the First World War and one last during the Second War. So very useful building. Okay, so that you can play all the rounds, and then once the round ends, you'll end up getting the victory points and determining the winner from there. So guys, overall, what I thought about the game was that it's a cool tile placement game. I did like some of the mechanics involved. Having the different colors giving income or victory points. And so there was this balance of, well, I need money to purchase tiles, but I also need victory points at the end of the game. So I thought it was a cool tile placement. Is it anything spectacular? Probably not. But I think it's a good solid tile placement. So I'm probably going to give this 7, 7.5. What are you thinking?
I enjoyed it a lot. I liked how simple it was, but yet it had a lot of strategy in it. I liked the specialty buildings particularly because I thought they had a lot of variability in the abilities on them. And I liked just the flow of the game. It was easy to learn, easy to teach, easy to set up and take down. Well, will be easy to take down. But yeah, I just found it to be for a small, such a simple game, very engaging. I'm probably going to give this an 8. I really enjoyed this one.
Okay, fantastic. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later. Bye. Bye.